Welcome. It's great to have your company today. Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 4. This is action step number 4, and this is day 4 of our 30-day personal brand growth plan. So if you're just joining me, we've covered day 1 to 3, and we're obviously today looking at day 4. And so the first 10 days and the first 10 action steps are the action steps that are contained within our Brand Yourself action plan. And so each of these action steps is literally a training in itself. So we're covering it off in about 2 minutes, but ordinarily in our trainings, this is about a 2-hour training for each of these action steps. And then you have a workbook and a work journal and other work to do as a result of the training package. However, what we do know is that research tells us that if you spend 2 hours planning, that you will actually save 8 hours work. So it's really important to strategically and systematically build a very persuasive and compelling personal brand by developing an action plan. And so what I've done is I've actually captured 3 action plans within the 30-day growth plan, and I'll show you how that's developed in a moment. So our Brand Yourself action plan is about discovering, defining, and creating a captivating and compelling personal brand, your personal brand. And so you might be wondering, who am I? So my name is Rachel Quilty, and I'm the author of the book Brand Yourself. It was launched in the US about 10 years ago, and there's other books that are now coming along in the series, Brand Yourself the Expert and Brand Yourself the Authority. And so interestingly enough, I used to always call myself a director, and I am now a qualified director, filmmaker. So it's interesting. And, one of the things that happened 10 years ago, as I was launching the book, developing a lot of momentum around, literally as I was promoting the book and its launch, I was invited to the US. But in the lead up to the book launch, I had rented or leased a unit at Q1 Surface Paradise, Gold Coast. So I spent a year literally researching and writing the book and creating a training plan. And um, having said that, it was really the research that was supporting what I had already been doing for about 7 years. So it was kind of like I had developed, as part of my consulting business, all these action steps, and it was really deciding which order they should be presented in. Because what I did discover is that, I'd have somebody contact me about a specific issue, and if they didn't have the foundation information in place, it meant we had to go backwards a little bit and kind of build their knowledge in that area and then move forward. So I really decided overall there's a system, and it's very strategic in how you build your personal brand. So, when you start to build momentum, you can really start to dominate your marketplace. And that's what we're talking about today, how you can dominate your marketplace as the authority. And so at that time, I was the only person I was the only personal brand strategist in the world, literally. So I was getting calls from Channel 9, 4BC, different radio stations, ABC, quoted in a number of magazines. And then once I was launched in the US, speaking opportunities and speaking on Voice America, etc. So the idea is, when you develop a Brand Yourself action plan, it's really, and the intention of the 30-day growth plan is so that you will know how to build a powerful personal brand, create a brand that attracts opportunities, develop a personal brand that reflects your potential and your goals, differentiate your brand, as well as, and this is what we're leading to today, which is brand yourself the authority in your field. So the right brand allows you to improve your business credibility and positioning, increase your confidence and effectiveness, improve your communication, increase your persuasiveness, earn you improved market standing or improve your market share, help you achieve your business goals. So developing your personal brand and then positioning your brand to dominate your marketplace can really help you accelerate your success. And so you start to build a very persuasive personal brand. You have instant credibility and celebrity. You create a brand that attracts clients and promoters and JV opportunities. You can gain that all-important competitive edge. You can premium price yourself, and you can brand yourself as the authority. So I really talk about this action plan as your secret to success, because I'm all about good foundations. In everything I speak about, I'm always talking about foundational information and knowledge. And as we know, that if we're going to build an empire or a legacy brand, you really want to have good foundations. You want to have planned and thought and prepared at a foundational level, so then you can start to leverage that preparedness. So the action plan has 10 action steps, and they're the first 10 days of our 30-day personal brand growth plan. So action step number 1, discover your existing personal brand. Action step number 2, determine your target brand audience. Action step number 3, define your true personal brand. And today we're looking at action step number 4, dominate your marketplace as the authority. But just to kind of preview the next few days, action step number 5, design your unique personal brand. And action step number 6, develop your brand signature style. Action step number 7, devise your personal brand marketing plan. Action step number 8, decide your desired outcomes, resources, and skill set. Action step number 9, deploy your personal brand message. And action step number 10 is to deliver your personal brand promise. And like I said, each of these is literally a 2-hour training plus your homework as part of the training program. So as we're looking at this 30-day growth plan, you'll see here that I have identified 12 key underpinning items or elements to building a personal brand legacy. And so within phase 1, which is really where we're at the moment, we're talking about these action steps within the Brand Yourself action plan. And they're about determining and defining your purpose, and just devising what your promise is, or discovering what your promise is, and then planning out your brand. So that's really where we're at the moment. We're in this kind of very planning stage, and there's a lot of assessment, introspective assessment around who you are and what you want to achieve, and what values you have and how they're going to play out in your brand mission. And so we then move into phase 2, which is the second 10-day period, which is really based on the action steps within the Brand Yourself the Expert. And that's about your platform, your preparation, your packaging. And then we move into the last 10 days, which is around the action steps within the Brand Yourself the Authority. And it's really about positioning yourself for power and presence, and it is all about positioning, really. And then phase 4 is really branding yourself the celebrity. And that's really a much larger package. And that's interviews, show reels, a lot of, so we do a weekend, maybe 2 weekends to actually cover the content. And there's interviews, and oh, look, you have to be well prepared. So, it's one of those things. It's a lot of fun, a lot of exciting things happen, but it really needs phase 1, 2, and 3 to actually prepare you for that weekend. So it's a little bit premature to talk about that. But the idea is that we are literally staging an event where you become the interviewee, the interviewer, host board meetings, host presentations, and we're capturing that all on film. So our personal brand goal is the goal of your brand is to target the best prospects, developing a unique market niche or niche, positioning your business as the best solution, maintaining visibility and credibility, becoming the only choice brand. And so let's just quickly walk through action step number 4, dominate your marketplace as the authority. An important distinction to success is designing your personal brand with your goal in mind. And so, originally I had this as action step number 5, and I talked about action step number 4 at that time was about designing a personal brand. However, I actually change that around, because what happened is I realized that there's a lot of, when you're positioning your brand as the authority, the actual branding elements and the branding values and the branding, your brand identity really shifts. So you really need to be thinking, uh, very deeply about the psychology of what you're doing and how it changes your positioning, your brand when you position yourself as the authority. So you think about it, generic brand versus the only choice brand. Um, when you think about a bookkeeper versus an elite accountant, the top four accounting firms, there's, there's I guess with bookkeepers, sometimes you see them as very ordinary people that are, very um, focused on, data entry, and, they're not necessarily worried about how well they're dressed or groomed, and that's not important. Getting the work done is. But when we think about the prestigious accounting firms and, what they want to impress you with, the quality, so that they can justify their $460 an hour fee, etc. So, it's really, they premium price themselves, but they're positioning themselves as well as the authority in that marketplace. And so when you really do think about yourself as the authority, and I do say the intentionally, not an authority, the authority. So even with that slight nuance there, you're actually changing your positioning and you're changing the mindset of your branding as well. So, and for that to play out in design, it talks about white space, it talks about the fonts, it talks about the colors that you're going to use. So everything shifts in my book when you start to position yourself as the authority. Okay, so and it can really accelerate your success. You can gain a competitive edge, you can premium price yourself, you brand yourself as the authority, and you really need to have that very clear focus around your brand purpose and mission. And to achieve your mission, we talk about the fact that you need to have a plan in place. And so let me just quickly talk about some of the strategic positioning principles. So this is an acronym around the idea of what is an authority. The principles of positioning you, the authority in your industry. And so this is something that I have developed, gosh, maybe nearly 20 years ago. So let me just walk through the issues. So A is for attributes. So it's really getting clear about the attributes of your brand and how they slightly adjust when you start to position yourself as the authority. U is for unique, positioning yourself as a unique brand rather than that generic brand. T is for territory, and it's really about where you're positioning yourself, what your platforms are, and what's your territory basically. Hook is that, just that point of difference, that competitive edge, that something that's quite seductive about your brand that we can use as a hook. And that's a PR term, so we talk about what your hook is. O is for opportunity. And so that's really about, even though we're talking about opportunity, we know from that famous quote that luck is when preparedness equals or meets opportunity. So opportunity is really about being prepared, and so you're able to leverage opportunities that come your way, and they inevitably do come your way when you start to focus on your brand. R is for reliability, and that's about your brand promise and your brand reliability. And, that's also that monitoring aspect and really making sure you're accountable to fulfill your promise, your brand promise, and the trustworthiness of your brand. Okay, I is image. So we talk about image insofar as the visual impact, the visual identity of your brand, as what, it's also about obviously your signature style as a personal brand, but also about, those first impressions that your organization gives as well. T is for trustworthiness and trustworthy. So that's really about being congruent brand and about being, maintaining your promise as well, and really identifying what you want to deliver and what you want to be faithful to your clients with. Why is for yourself, and that's really just looking at what you as a personal brand are delivering uh, overall as part of this positioning, and how you can adjust or add skills, change attitudes, whatever the case may be. So it's looking at that skill set, the mindset, the resources that you need to establish yourself as or position yourself as the authority. Okay, so positioning your brand. Scott Letourneau, who's the CEO of Nevada Corporate Planners, he said this: personal branding is so important to any business owner's success, and the person you want to interview is the authority, Rachel Quilty. So this is gorgeous because Scott invited me to speak at his JV boot camp in Las Vegas. That was then leveraged by one of his clients, and I was able to be interviewed by the Money Show on The Voice America, because we're talking about premium pricing yourself when you start to position your brand as the authority. So really nice to be identified as the authority, and you're able to then leverage that. You attract opportunities, and that's the most important thing. And the reason why I want the Brand Yourself action plan to be considered fully is because all that those action steps means that you're prepared for the opportunities that will, like I said, inevitably come. So free resource for you to start looking at your existing personal brand. Head over to brandyourselfblueprint.com, download the ebook and the work journal, complete the work journal. The work journal is something that we use as a prerequisite, so all of our clients have completed it. It really gives you an insight to how we work, the information we give you, the work journals that we request you to complete. It also means that you identify the intensity level of the training that you're going to get. It means, we understand your commitment to your brand as well. And so it's really important that you do complete that. So any questions, feel free to just email me, Rachel at Rachel Quilty, or info at jumptheq.com.au. And you can also leave a comment. And I've noticed a couple of people have left comments about, platforms and where the information's also available. So at the moment, we're going live on Twitter. We're also live usually on LinkedIn, and sometimes our stories are going live as well as on Instagram. So it just depends how everything comes together on the day. But thank you for that request. It's really nice to have somebody say, we need you to be available on this platform. So that's very useful. Okay, so I want you to go across, grab that resource again. It's free. Download it, complete the work journal, Brand Yourself Blueprint. And I'll see you tomorrow for action step number 5. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you soon.